Hello, beautiful people. Today is 16th of April. My name is Sahil, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Guys, this is a quote from Crop Life, which happens to be an international NGO working for biotechnology. The quote says, once in your life, you need a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, a preacher, but every day, three times a day, you need a farmer. So, guys, this particular quote makes us realize the importance of farmers who happens to be the ones who empower the country, but they themselves are the most vulnerable sections of society. So, guys, government, civil societies, NGOs, and the individuals in their own capacity should come together to alleviate the sufferings of the farmers, which becomes the more relevant even to the present pandemic of COVID 19. Guys, this particular quote is important for your GS paper number 2, as there is a topic vulnerable sections of society. So, for social justice, if you are writing the answer, you can use that. Moreover, often the topics have been asked on essay on the farmer, women, children, and other segments. So, this becomes important for your GS2 as well as for your essay. Now, let's begin with today's analysis. So, guys, this is the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper, and into the first news item, we can say that government had notified that certain industries could operate into the rural areas if they follow the minimum restrictions. Now, friends, this was a much needed step to see the crisis that we are facing onto the economic front. Now, already it has been stated that India's GDP is facing a lot of downfall due to the lockdown. According to certain estimates, there will be 4% decline into the India's GDP when the lockdown was extended to 21 days. Now, as lockdown has been further extended, this particular figure will be shooting up even more rapidly. So now there needs to be certain buffer areas where the economic activities should resume, and in this particular direction industries in rural areas are resuming up. Now, guys, these are the categories which have been allowed: agricultural, horticultural activities, animal husbandry, collection and processing of milk is being allowed. Then MG Narega work sites will be opened, and the services such as postal, bank, and ATMs are being. Now, guys, it is the movement towards lifting the lockdown, and it is the process of gradually easing up. So, into the phase by phase manner, these things are being carried. However, in all these activities, basic norms such as social distancing, wearing of mask has to be followed. Now, guys, under the news item, it has also been said that if somebody will be found spitting, then he could be charged for a crime. Now, guys, for UPSC, you don't need to see that spitting is a crime, but the question comes that how the state governments or the central governments are coming with these kind of things. By the way, guys, just for the sake of your knowledge, spitting has already been provided as a crime under the National Disaster Management Act. However, moving forward, guys, that was all about factual news, but for UPSC we need analysis. So now let's analyze this particular issue. Guys, in all these sequence you will find that a lot of things are being directed by the government, so we will analyze from where all these things are coming out. So, guys, in that particular respect, government is getting power under the Epidemic Disease Act 1897. Now, friends, this particular act was imposed initially into the region of Bombay to control the bubonic plague, which was very much rampant in 1897. And, guys, in this particular respect, please also remember this thing, that under this particular act, government got a large number of powers, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak criticized government's action in his newspaper, that was Kesari, and for this particular act Bal Gangadhar Tilak was jailed for 18 months. Moreover, into the aftermath of Epidemic Disease Act, there was one more historical fact. There were two brothers which were called as Chapekar brothers. Their name was Bal Krishna Chapekar and Damodar Chapekar. They killed the plague commissioner of Pune, whose name was Rand, and they were hanged for that particular offense. So, Epidemic Disease Act has its own history for the UPSC exam also. So now the government has imposed the Epidemic Disease Act from where it is getting the power. So, friends, under Section 2 of Epidemic Disease Act, state government can issue any direction to control the epidemic. So from here, state governments are issuing a lockdown, they are containing the zones, they are restricting the movement and everything. Guys, under section 2A, the union government can also issue any directive. So government is also getting power from here. Now, how the fines and penalties could be imposed? So for that, we will read section number 3. Here it has been said that whoever will not be obey government directions, he could be charged under section number 188 of IPC, under which the punishments have provided if you disobey the public servant. So the fines are being imposed under section 3, which provides for penalties by the virtue of section number 188. Friends, one more thing, Epidemic Disease Act 1897 is one of the shortest legislation of India. So from here, all these directives which you are seeing are being issued. Here, friends, it is important that I should quote that certain powers government is also getting under the National Disaster Management Act, but the major legislation happens to be the EDA. So guys, this was all about this. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, into the next news item, government had identified 170 districts which happens to be the hotspot of COVID-19. Now, friends, a region or a district will be described as hotspot if large number of cases have been reported from that particular district. Now, guys, in this particular direction, Tamil Nadu has registered the largest number of hotspots, followed by the state of Maharashtra. And according to the news item, 33% of hotspots have been found only into the 5 states of South India. Now, as I have told you earlier also, that the South India, particularly the regions such as Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Maharashtra, becoming the sites of COVID 19, could indicate that because large testing is happening into these states, they are registering the more number of cases. On the other hand, if we see the states such as Jharkhand, they have registered very less number of cases, but the less number of cases could also be the reason of less number of testing. So now 170 districts have been identified, and 207 districts are supposed to be the potential hotspots, which could later manifest as a hotspot. Now, guys, the urgency of government is this, that the potential hotspots should be contained and they should not go into the red zone, that is of the hotspot. Now, basically, government had released this particular list, and it has been said that after 20th of April, when the relaxations will be given, then the priority will be given to those states which have performed better and they are not into the red zone line, that is, they are not the hotspot. Now, guys, a large number of data has been given here. I'll not recommend to mug up that data because it will redundant after few days and not important for UPSC exam. Now, the situation is this, that how we should reduce the number of red zones, that is hot spots. So in this particular direction, government should go for large number of contact tracing, and then there should also be the rigorous focus on the testing of the people who could be infected with the COVID-19. So guys, this all we'll discuss here. Deliberately, I'm not going into too much of technical details because that is not important for UPSC. Now, friends, the next news item says that US had frozen the WHO's funding. I will be covering this news item along with the editorial because there it has also been discussed, so we'll be taking it up there. Now, guys, as we are seeing that into the recent days, a large number of items are pertaining only to COVID 19 and huge dimensions have been discussed. And today, there are no that much relevant news till the editorial section. So I will be now picking up certain news articles from the other newspapers. Guys, if you want that when there should be no news in Hindu, should we cover the other papers? Then please let me know into the comment section should I continue it or not. So, first news item that we'll be taking is from the Down to Earth. Now, guys, there was an article into the Down to Earth which says that due to lockdown, the endangered Gangetic dolphins are being spotted into the larger numbers and they are now blooming. Now, guys, first of all, Gangetic dolphin has been given the status of National Aquatic Animal of India, as the issue is there with all the wildlife. These fishes are being poached, and many a times their carcasses have been found onto the river stretches. But now, due to the lockdown, their population is increasing. Now, guys, when we talk about the preferred habitat of these fishes, these dolphins, they prefer to live into the waters with lesser of current and avoid the human activity and all such type of disturbances. And now, because of lockdown and because of absence of all such disturbances, they are being spotted. Guys, the most preferred point for their spot, which has been discussed into the article also, is the Vikramshila Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary. Now, this particular sanctuary is into the state of Bihar and has been located onto the river stretch of Ganga River. Guys, please remember all this for your prelims examination. Now, the Gangetic dolphin has been given the highest priority, and they have also been put under the schedule number 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Guys, there are schedule 1 to 6, and the animals into the schedule number 1 get the highest priority, whereas it goes on declining as we go till the schedule number 6. Moreover, IUCN has given the status of endangered species to these dolphins. And now, one more thing, these Gangetic dolphins are the category of freshwater dolphins, and there are only 4 species of freshwater dolphin into the world. First one is found into the Yangtze River in China. Now, this particular dolphin is extinct. Second is found into the Indus River into the region of Pakistan, and the third is found into the Amazon River into the South America, and the fourth one, that is Gangetic one, is found into the river Ganga to the countries of India, Bangladesh and Nepal. So guys, this was all about these Gangetic dolphin were into the news. Please keep this thing into your mind for your prelims examination. Now friends, down to earth is actually an excellent source for your UPSC examination for the topics related to geography, GS1, as well as environment and ecology. Though guys, time to time I will be taking up the important articles from here. If you also get time, then please do see to it. Guys, the next news item is from the Times of India, and 4 rare snow leopards have been spotted in Nanda Devi National Park. Now guys, this is a very rare thing, as from long time the snow leopards have not been found in this particular region. Now guys, when we are talking about snow leopard, so they are found into the region of Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh, primarily into the region of eastern Himalayas. Now guys, these leopards have been given the status of vulnerable on the IUCN red list. Moreover guys, as I have told you earlier, there is the Wildlife Protection Act, under there are schedules, so it in that also it has been given the status of schedule number 1. Moreover, apart from that also, it has also been listed under the appendix number 1 of the CITES convention. Now CITES stands for Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species, and guys, the animals under CITES, trading of their animal body parts is illegal. So a large protection has been given to the snow leopard. Now, if we talk more about snow leopard, they have crepuscular behavior and they are also called as crepuscular animal. Now, guys, there could be nocturnal animals, there could be the diurnal animals, and then the third one are the crepuscular. So, nocturnal ones are those which are active during the night, diurnals are those which are active during the day, and crepuscular are those which are active during the time of twilight. So, during the time of dawn and dusk, they will be more active. So friends, these have snow leopards have been spotted there. Now, if we talk about Nanda Devi National Park, it is a national park and there is Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve also. Now, friends, when we talk about Nanda Devi National Park, it is surrounded around the Nanda Devi peak, and animals such as Himalayan musk deer, mainland serow, Himalayan tahar, and goral are founding into this range. Moreover, guys, Nanda Devi National Park has also been given the status of World Heritage Site by the UNESCO. So, guys, I hope you will understand. All this was about this news item, and now we'll move to the next news item. And now, guys, we'll be going to the editorial section. Now, guys, into the editorial section, the first editorial that we'll be seeing is disastrous decision. It tells as how USA's decision to stop the funding of WHO is wrong and erroneous. Guys, along with this editorial, I am also clubbing one editorial from the Indian Express newspaper, which is also talking on the same line. And there have been two news pieces also into the Hindu newspaper, which have also been clubbed into the same editorial. Now, guys, recently what had happened, WHO has been blamed by USA that WHO had failed to indicate the prevalence of the COVID-19 and has been charged with mismanagement. It is being said that WHO is covering the real statistics in order to preserve the image of certain nations, and WHO has been proved to be a failure. In this context, President Trump has suspended the funding for few days and a committee has been constituted to look into the role of WHO. Guys, this thing becomes even more evident when WHO is fighting for the funding to help the lower income level group countries. Guys, it has been said that WHO needs $650 million extra in order to support the poor countries, but at a point withdrawing the aid will be disastrous. Friends, USA gives an aid to the tune of $500 million and happens to be the biggest donor of WHO. Now a question comes, that is WHO actually have been at mistake? It is a well proven fact that from very start WHO is warning the countries with respect to the contagious nature of COVID-19. Moreover, as early as January, WHO declared COVID-19 as the concern of international community and all the countries should take adequate measures with respect to this thing. Now, when we talk about the hiding of statistics, WHO is not involved into the collection of data. Rather, WHO has to rely on the data which have been provided by the countries. So, as Donald Trump is pointing that WHO has deliberately hidden the data from the China, this particular thing is not having any substantial ground. Although, guys, this thing is also true that world over large number of fatalities have been occurred and USA happens to be the worst impacted country, but during such a pandemic, to cut the aid of WHO is not a wise step, especially at the moment when WHO is appealing all the member countries as well as other donors to provide more funding to the WHO. Moreover, guys, editorials talk that even if WHO is at mistake, the taking of these steps at the midst of the pandemic is not suggested because it may cripple the fight against the COVID-19. At the same time, it should not be forgotten that the poor countries depend on WHO with respect to testing kits, medicines, and other protective gears. And if this funding will be reduced, those countries will be doubly jeopardized and will not be able to contain the pandemic. Even it should be kept into mind that there is no organization which can match the capabilities of WHO in terms of the experience that it has gained and with respect to the expertise in dealing into the different cultures and topographies. Guys, WHO had ran extensive programs in Africa, sub-Saharan countries and various third world countries. So it has experience as how to contain the pandemic in these particular locations. And as we are talking about this, it should not be forgotten that majorly it was because of WHO's efforts that smallpox has been eradicated globally and the polio virus has been removed from the major parts of the world. Moreover, at the same time, WHO was instrumental in developing the medicines during the outbreak of Ebola virus and other such pandemics. So, therefore, at this particular time, sidelining WHO will not be justified. Moreover, this is the time when the diseases are spreading not because of the carelessness of WHO but because of the rampant exposure of globalization. We are living into the century which is all about connectiveness, and even if a disease will be having an outbreak into the remotest corner of the world, it is bound to spread. And if it started from China, then it was but obvious to scatter all around the world. Moreover, it has also been suggested that by blaming WHO, USA is shrugging off their own responsibility and hiding under the garb of WHO's inefficiency. Moreover, in all this scenario, USA might be forgetting that historically WHO has been against the travel and trade restrictions when the countries were experiencing outbreaks, and during the time of COVID 19, the response was also similar. And at this particular time, cutting the aid of WHO is also nothing new for US, because USA has long questioned the utility of United Nations, has always talked about America First policy. Recently, USA has also withdrawn from the Human Rights Council, has withdrawn from UNESCO, and also has stepped down from the Paris Climate Agreement that was signed in 2016. Though China is saying that it has been misled. Now, all these are the things which could be settled even after the world has recovered from the COVID 19, and the present time is obviously not good to discuss these issues, and USA should step up and, as a part of its moral responsibility, should not stop the funding for WHO. So, guys, this was all about this article. Now, we'll move to the next article. Guys, the next article talks about the functioning of the parliament and suggests that how parliament and its functioning could be reformed. Now, as we know that it is a time of crisis, and every section, every organization, and every body is doing as what it can do. In this respect, government has taken various steps. For example, recently, the Salaries, Allowances, and Pension of Member Act 1954 was amended, and thereby it has been mandated that all the MPs will be taking a 30% cut into their salaries. Moreover, after that, MP Lads scheme has also been cut down for the period of 2 years. Guys, I had already also discussed about MP Lads. This is a scheme under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, under which every MP is given a non-lapsable fund of 5 crore rupees per year, which he can use in its constituency to suggest certain works with respect to the development of community asset and other developmental activities. In this scheme, the MP suggests the project to the district administration or to the municipality or to the panchayat, and they carry out the work. The idea behind this particular thing is that a legislator should be provided a financial cushioning so that he can take urgent initiatives for the welfare of community members. Now, the editorial suggests that by giving a cut of 30% into the member salaries, the substantial sub savings might not be there, and according to certain estimates, government might be saving rupees 5 crore per month. However, if MP Lads is discontinued, then the substantial savings could be there to the tune of 4,000 crore rupees. So, guys, now the question comes that the amount of 5 crore and even the amount of 4,000 crore is not that big amount into the kitty of government of India. What has happened? Government is carrying a narrow outlook by imposing financial constraints. The editorial suggests it is not the requirement right now. Rather, we need that our legislators should be even more proactive and should be even more deliberating for that particular purpose. If we need to give them extra perks and salaries and allowances, that should even be given. And the same thing is being done by the UK, where the salaries of the allowances of the MPs have been increased substantially. Government of India also need to do these kind of things. This is not the time that we cut the parliamentary debates, we make them sit into the houses and should see as how the COVID 19 is unfolding itself. Rather, that we need a team where all the MPs and MLAs and ministers should be connected around the clock, and actively they should monitor the situation and suggest corrective actions. If we take the example of UK had connected all the members through the facility of video conferencing, and the sessions are virtually taking place. Moreover, guys, British Parliament has also created a page on its website on which all the government orders are being tracked. And if we also look to the New Zealand has also created epidemic response committee which is monitoring the efforts of government. So, in a nutshell, we want to say this thing: governments around the world are making a team of the legislators and their members of parliament and engaging them into the COVID-19. But what government of India is doing, it is making cut into their salaries and not practically involving them. Therefore, it has been said that India's parliament is absent from the scene of COVID 19. There have been no official statements as how regularly video conferencing should be conducted between the members to facilitate the brainstorming. However, guys, recently the Prime Minister held a video conferencing with the chief ministers, but with all the MPs, the thing has not been taken up. Therefore, reduction in salaries is just a symbolic gesture which might not be needed right now. Though cutting up of MP lad was a good thing because here the substantial savings could be made, that is 4,000 crore rupees. Moreover, guys, MP lad has often been criticized by various committees. For example, National Committee to Review the Working of Constitution had criticized MP lads. Then second, ARC had also criticized the MP lad scheme. It has been said that the MP who happens to be the legislator turns into an executive by suggesting the developmental works, and it breaches the theory of separation of powers, and the balance is disturbed here. So MP lads should be eliminated and should not be brought back even after the epidemic has been subsided. Said all these things, the editorial also suggests that how the present time could be an opportunity where the parliamentary reforms could be carried and mere tokenism in the name of cutting salaries will not serve the purpose. So, first of all, it should be explored that how technology can be used to improve the efficiency of parliament. Till now, there has been no mechanism to convene the video conferencing of all the ministers as well as members combined into a dedicated place. Guys, recently though, a video conferencing of chief ministers and PM took place, but all the mechanisms were makeshift and there is no dedicated facility. So, here on this line, mechanisms should be installed. Moreover, right now, member of parliament are given very less salaries, and the editorial suggests that they should be compensated equitably. When we take the numbers from the senators of USA, they are paid very high so that they can have their own dedicated work offices and space from where they can work for the welfare of their constituencies. Guys, but with respect to India, no dedicated office space is given. Though allowances are given, but those allowances are very less when the actual expenditure incurred on maintaining a office is seen. However, at the same time, though government is not giving allowances on this front, government is giving a large number of perks. For example, housing in central Delhi. Although there has been the controversy on this housing scheme also because often transparency is not maintained and the houses are given to the favorite legislators. So guys, a suggestion is being made that all these housing privileges should altogether be removed, and in that particular place proper allowances should be given through which they can find suitable housing for them. Moreover, it is also high time that public debates should also be convened with respect to issues that are impacting the working of the legislature. Guys, we need a all round dedicated brainstorming as how the reforms could be carried, and independent judiciary can play an important role here as they can suggest as how the reforms could be carried. So guys, this entire editorial was talking as how in the times of crisis we can find an opportunity to recreate the parliament and its proceedings, and only the cutting of salaries will not be serving the purpose. We need to go one step ahead. So guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, the next editorial discusses as how farmers are facing problem and government should not only make policies on paper but should also implement them to alleviate the miseries of farmers. Guys, as we know that India is primarily an agrarian economy, and even till today, approximately 55% population directly and indirectly depends on agriculture for their livelihood. As 21-day nation lockdown was started, farmers were also covered into this particular epidemic, and as now it has been further extended, farmers faced a new kind of crisis how they will harvest their winter crops. Though in this direction, government issued a notification and provided that the horticultural and agricultural activities can continue, and all the facilities with respect to their transportation, procurement, mandis, farming operation, all these things will be unhindered and will be continuing. However, all these things look good on paper, but the implementation is far away. Guys, in this direction there are certain NGOs as well as civil societies who had made a passionate approach to the government of India, as where government could work to reduce the miseries of the farmers. Guys, there happens to be an important topic in our GS paper too, that is role of civil societies and NGOs. You can mention their name if the question comes. First here is All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordinating Committee. There is Narmada Bachao Andolan, All India Kisan Mazdoor Sabha, and all of them are putting a same point that farmers should not be molested. For example, police are asking them questions with respect to their movement. They are being stopped by the authorities. They are not able to procure the remuneration for their perishable items. As the supply chain has been broken, they are not able to make their commodities reach to the households. Farmers are spilling their milk into the canals. There is no market for the poultry. Why? Because the authorities are not implementing the orders of the government. So all of them had asked the government that their miseries should be taken care of. Moreover, guys, in Odisha, it has been pointed that MG Narega has completely stopped, due to which the unskilled people who were resorting on it as a means of their livelihood are facing a lot of crisis. Guys, according to editorial, government's decisions are imperial in its announcement and its execution. It means that government has not paid adequate attention to the miseries of the farmers. For example, officials have often found to be interfering with the collection of non-timber forest produce, which has been allowed under the Forest Right Act, and due to this particular thing there is huge distress among the farmers. Moreover, guys, often reports have surrounded that police brutalities are rampant onto the agricultural farmers, and they are being restricted to access the mandis and to access the markets for their produce. Guys, moreover, Anganwadis have been closed, due to which nutritional requirement of children below the age of 6 years and pregnant women are being hindered. At the same time, midday meal scheme also has been disrupted into the majority of rural areas, due to which India's food security is also being hampered. And further, the provision of 6,000 rupees that were to be given to every pregnant woman, which was mandated under Maternity Benefit Act, has also been stopped. So guys, all these issues are plaguing, and now a question is being asked: was the lockdown necessary? Yes, it was necessary in order to flatten the curve, but at the same time it is also a matter of question that this particular lockdown could have been implemented into a more better way, due to which miseries could have been avoided. So the suggestion is being made that government should be more thoughtful with respect to implementation of their decisions, because they can have far reaching consequences. Moreover, implementation often happens to be a challenge, so government should work on that particular front. However, guys, at the same time, it has also been observed that the government wants that citizens should not question them, and here an example could be taken into the statement of Solicitor General, who said that government's point of view should be accepted without demur. Guys, a question comes: are democracies all about accepting government opinions? So, being the citizens of the democratic country, asking questions and questioning the government viewpoint is the part of fabric of Indian democracy, and this could not be stopped. Moreover, guys, Supreme Court had recently again recorded that farmers and agricultural workers should not at all be harassed by the police and other authorities, and their movement should continue seamlessly. So, guys, as the pandemic is overpowering the nation, the plight of farmers should also not be ignored. So, guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, the next news item is from the page number 8, where it has been said that due to outdated census data, a large number of people has been left out of the PDS coverage. Guys, this particular article could be important for the vulnerable sections of Indian society, as it is into the paper number 2, as well as matters and issues related to the PDS paper number 3. Now, guys, it has been said that government is providing the food allocations under National Food Security Act, under which 75% population of the rural India, 50% population of the urban area will be covered, and in total 67% population of entire country will be getting benefit under this thing. However, guys, when the allocations are being made, government is considering the data from the census of 2011, and because of this particular thing, an anomaly has been covered. Guys, population is increasing continuously, and because of the calculation, 10 crore people have been left out of the coverage of PDS, and this thing becomes even more important when we need to give more allocations and people might not be able to get the food. Guys, in this particular direction, there are certain states who have left a large number of population. For example, Uttar Pradesh might not be able to cater nearly 2.8 crore population, and likewise you can see in this particular direction. Now, in 2013, National Food Security Act came, and it provided that the and on the basis of 2011 census, the requirement for every state was calculated and quotas were earmarked to every state on that particular basis. However, as population is increasing, there happens to be a problem that many state governments are not giving the new ration cards because their quota is limited and a large population is left out of food security. Guys, for long, the state governments have been campaigned through the NGOs that this anomaly should be corrected, but no improvement has been carried here into this particular thing. Guys, you don't need to go into the technical numbers and datas and details. Just please remember this particular thing whenever you will write answer onto the food security of India. So guys, please have a reference of this thing. Now we'll move to the next item. Now friends, next news is on page number 11 and important for your prelims exam. What has been happening? At large places, the disinfectant tunnels have been erected whose purpose is to disinfect the people with the strains of coronavirus on their clothing and on their hands and all these things. Now, in this particular direction, a spray of a chemical is being used, and that particular chemical happens to be sodium hypochlorite. Now, it has been said that sodium hypochlorite might be giving a false sense of security because this is a harsh chemical, and if it includes a particular percentage, then it can cause damage to the body. Guys, a solution of sodium hypochlorite up to a limit of 0.5% could be used as a disinfectant to clear the contaminations from the bodily fluids such as blood spills and all these kind of things. However, if it goes above than that, it becomes harmful. For example, if it goes to 5%, it can cause ocular irritation, sore throat, and if it goes to 10 to 15%, it can cause damage to multiple organs, can cause blisters, can cause problem into the respiratory tract, can induce the sensation of burning, vomiting, etc. So guys, this particular chemical substance might not be good for health as being used into these disinfectant tunnels. Friend, up to 0.5%, it can clear the bodily fluids, and it has been called as Dakin solution. However, above 0.5%, it becomes dangerous. So please remember as a factual information for your prelims. So guys, this was all about today's discussion. If you like our video, then please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.